Let's talk about Boruto. So with the new saga of Boruto being revealed and ultimately will bring us to a time skip, I wanted to make a video talking about it. And this will mostly be freestyled, so like if I sound dumb at any point, that's why. Anyways, so Boruto is one of the most controversial manga and especially anime. And I mean, if we talk to look at it, that filler list is pretty insane.
Ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Well, depending on who you ask, most of it is considered canon, and I probably do consider it canon as well. But I will be the first to admit that I did not watch all of it. But one thing I do like from what I did watch is the extra context they will add during certain arcs. Like for example, when they were just starting the Jigen and Kawaki thing, they went way more in depth than they did in the manga. And that's something I can appreciate, as with Boruto's very strict release schedule, only releasing once a month, they can only put so much in a chapter as they simply do not have the time for it. So that's at least one major positive I can think of coming from the Boruto anime. But with this, there's also sometimes it does feel way too long in the anime as well. But I just wanted to touch on the anime for a quick second, and we'll talk about the manga from here on out. So as someone who actually recently watched Naruto for the first time in 2021 is pretty late compared to most other people. And so since I finished the anime so late, Boruto was already out by this time and had plenty of episodes out and plenty of chapters out. So I immediately jumped into Boruto after that, starting with the movie. And that movie is pretty fire. It has some of the best fighting we've seen in the entire Naruto franchise. And then I would jump to the manga, mainly because the anime was going through a super drought of filler at that time. So Boruto Uzumaki was born into a very different circumstances than his father, and in turn he was also very different than him as well. As from the start of Boruto's life, he had been cared for by many people at that time, and so his reasoning for acting how he was the opposite of Naruto's, as truly Naruto had no one who cared about him at all at that point. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing on Boruto's behalf, as it was just a situation that he was put in, and at the end of the day he was just a child seeking attention from his father. And during the Momoshiki arc, this would be a turning point for him, at least in terms of maturity, as he truly saw what the world was like. And once we see Momoshiki become an inhabitant in Boruto's body, he tells him that he will lose everything. And in the more recent chapters, we see this start to come to fruition as his parents and little sister has been taken away from him. And the entire world, aside from Sarada and maybe a few others we don't know about, has forgotten what has happened because of Ada's ability. So I would go as far to say that Boruto's character has been pretty solid so far, and I'm glad his story has gone in a way that we cannot have expected. Also like how naturally gifted of a shinobi he is, another differentiation from his father. So now I should talk about Sarada and Kawaki, the other two bright spots in the series alongside Naruto and Sasuke of course. I can say they both have been done well so far, and Sarada especially looks like she's shaping up to be the best written female in Naruto and Boruto. And now I'm not saying she's anything insane, but I've never had an issue with her, and they managed to make sure she stays in a close level of ability, at least to the others when they aren't using their Otsutsuki powers. And she plays an important part in managing the two of them, something Sakura struggles to do in Naruto. I'm very interested to see how she becomes after the time skip, and hope she continues to remain relevant. Now Kawaki just might be the best character introduced, as his backstory is one of the most compelling in the series as well. He was sated by his birth parent and abused by him, and then was sold off to Jigen, where he was physically and emotionally abused and experienced it on as well. And this will be a major factor into his character's personality and dynamics later on with the Uzumaki family. So for the main three characters, I give them a solid B for now. I think as we move further along into part 2, we can see them continue to grow. Some other quick pros I can think of are the fights are pretty good, there are really good moments during the arcs, and most recent chapters have taken their story to a new level. But now I have to talk about my gripes with the series, and it pretty much boils down to there being a lack of intriguing villains as well as a complete lack of the side cast. So for the villains in the manga, we had Momoshiki, who was alright, Kinshiki was whatever, and Ishiki, who was admittedly pretty cold. But the rest are just simply not good to me, and it sucks coming from a series that had so many great villains like Madara, Obito, Itachi, Pain, Orochimaru, and many more. And it's not like there isn't any story here. No, they tried to make us care about them, but it just did not land at all. Like even our new main villains, Code, Ada, Daemon, and others, yes, they have only started to be put in motion, but besides the last couple of chapters, have we really cared about them at all? But hey, I'm still gonna be optimistic. I just hope they go full into these characters in part 2. So the last thing I want to talk about is once again the series has forgotten about its side characters, and to me it would be nice to see at least some of these guys become relevant again in part 2, as I would love a more fleshed out cast and seeing what these guys can do. And especially my boy Mitsuki, I need him back in the mix as soon as possible. Like, this guy was made to be like a main character, but I don't see this guy at all in the manga pretty much. So my final thoughts on Boruto as it stands today is it's an enjoyable series that has a decently strong core of characters, but is lacking in overall arc consistency and overall cast in general. But with the time skip looking promising, I do hope they manage to improve on all these things and make 2 Blue Vortex aka Boruto Part 2 a great story. Peace.